Hey folks, thank you for joining us again for another exciting episode of Yoml. Today we are back and talking about I guess the second half of that book by Malcolm Gladwell, the Goliath, David and Goliath, Underdog Misfits and the Art of Battling Giants. So last time we talked about the not so
Desirable
desirable
disadvantages. Yeah,
disadvantage, which
right.
isn't so desirable for us. So we see if today is any different than what yesterday.
Fair
Last
enough.
last was Thursday. So
Well, okay, so I got to give Malcolm Gladwell a little credit. Actually, I just finished the tipping point today. I love Malcolm Gladwell's books. So like, I mean, I don't want the impression to be that I can't stand the guy because like I told you, that guy's an artist. I mean, talk about I can't remember. I think it was Made to Stick. It was a book that that we'll talk about in the future, but a book that I read a couple months ago. He talked about you know starting like making it like a like a treasure hunt, like a quest, and like Malcolm Gladwell is so good. I think this is his I've read so many Malcolm Gladwell books and I've read so many of these types of books before at this point in time that I think I've cracked the code of what they do and why Malcolm Gladwell is so great. Number one, it starts off with a question. He just asked just a broad general question. Like in Tipping Point, the question was how does word of mouth viral viruses spread, basically. Like how does a word of mouth idea spread? Like what are the components and elements of that? Then he takes you on this awesome treasure hunt, basically, where we stop for one spot, we learn some interesting information about the story. Then he weaves this great narrative all together as we're learning along the way. We're waiting for the next clue. You're waiting for the next clue. You're waiting
it's
for the next
human
clue.
nature, right? Human
It's so
nature.
good.
We
Yeah,
we we talk about human nature as far as one of the top, I guess, things that we do is explorations and discovery.
it
That's
is.
what moves us.
It
So
is.
if you can, I guess,
This
leverage that the psychology of human nature, you're gonna have our attentions like from beginning to end, and that's why that's why storytelling is so compelling because
it is.
it makes you want to say, well, I got this piece of puzzle. Well, what's the next piece? And what's the
Right.
next piece? What's the next piece? Right? And so I want. And then the thing is, even if you have like all the pieces, there's one piece missing. Right? You want to know. Okay,
Gotta know. You gotta know.
what
Like
is what
you
is
can't
the whole
stop. Yeah.
thing? Yeah. So you
Right.
gotta know. So that is something that drives us, and everybody has that gene. And I think that's that's a genius to kind of piggyback on that I guess human evolution
It is. I mean, it
to
is. It's
to
it's
engage
it's
us, right?
it's brilliant. Like actually that made to stick book. They talked about this one professor who used to come in and just would pose a problem and do his lecture and whatever. And when he turned it into a question at the beginning of the class, and then like people like his students became like, I can't remember what the statistics were that they measured or monitored it, but it was like massive improvement of like the engagement in the class of people like didn't want to leave at the end of the class. I think that was what they were measuring it by, of like how fast did people run out of the class or whatever or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It was like these people were like glued to their seats, like every single class, about wanting to know what's the answer. Like if you just keep people on the edge of their seat and continue to give them a clue. A lot of ways, the year of magical learning is kind of structured like that on accident, but I mean, not really. It's because it's kind of, we've been doing this ourselves. We've been going on our own quests. Like
Mm-hmm.
every day, we fill in another little piece of the puzzle. We don't know where the fuck we're going, and we don't know how we're gonna get there. But at the same time, like that's the fun of it, right? Like, because I mean, every day when you show up, if I had to guess, you probably like the fact that you don't know what I'm going to say,
Exactly.
yeah, right. And you're like, well, what's Chris going to come up with today? Like, what can we talk about? That's the fun of it, right? Like, and as we do this, we slowly build our story that we're shaping around Clubany, right? And it's fun, like, and we're enjoying it, and I'm enjoying it because I get to like guide you, and then at the same time, you get to then help me to refine my own knowledge, and then we can come up with joint knowledge at that point in time to go apply to our own projects. So it's like that's kind of how the year of magical learning is structured too. So I say all that to say I still really like Malcolm Gladwell's writing. I still really like his storytelling. I love it, actually. He's a brilliant storyteller. So I didn't want this David and Goliath book to be the reflection, because most of these reflections are usually positive momentum, clues toward, the next step. That one was kind of I'll call it a junior rant. It wasn't like a rant,
But
but it
the
was like
thing
it was
is,
like a junior rant.
I think it's important to learn about that as well, because
Right.
like I'm saying, it is very important for us to not seek pain, so that hey, I can be better or stronger just because I have pain. And that's, to me, is a lesson worth learning. Don't go chasing the thing that people say, hey, desirable disadvantage. I mean,
Right.
even if he says it, doesn't mean that it's applicable. And you can tell me if I'm wrong, but having pain doesn't that's not necessarily the is worth the price you're paying, right? Let's say, like I
Right.
said before, I
Right.
mean, if somebody say, well, if I give you $1 billion, but you're gonna have to be sick for the rest of your life, when you say, hey, I'm in pain, so I've got this $1 billion, right? The question
Right.
I'm asking is it worth it to trade in this pain, whatever that is, for
Right.
something seemingly supposed to be great, like $1 billion, or Elon be a trillionaire or whatever? But my point
Right.
is it worth it?
No,
That's what I mean.
not
That's
not
the
not
question.
not not if the choice is the front end. If it's the back end, if you flip it, I think most people would probably say yes, only because they don't know. Like like they like we talked about with football
Even
players.
I mean, the thing is, it's about choosing. My point is choosing, because if you
Right.
know, which is on the front end, if you know, then yeah,
Well,
you are choosing it, and deciding to choose that. It's completely stupid in my view, because I
it's not even a
understand.
debate. It's not even a
I
debate.
understand
Like
that
nobody would choose that.
certain things that people can't choose, but the point is you have this lesson of desirable disadvantage, or no pain no gain. Like you
Right.
go and you're seeking pain. That is what the lesson. This is what people are trying to persuade you to do,
Right.
right? Go seek pain so you can have gains. This is what it's saying. I mean, am I wrong?
No, it
It's
is.
not that just okay, just happen you have pain, then you can maybe turn that into something to gain.
Right.
No pain no gain. That's what I say. Hey, you know break down that
Do you remember?
muscle. I mean,
Do you remember Bear Grylls' book that we did a long time ago, the
mm-hmm,
blood sweat and mud sweat and tears? You remember that book?
mm-hmm,
uh
right.
the reason why Bear Grylls climbed Mount Everest was because well, he's kind of a thrill junkie, but he was a parachute, enthusiast, and he did it for the military stuff, and he would go parachuting. Well, one time his parachute didn't open, and it opened really really late or something like that, and he came crashing back down to the earth, and he like shattered like tons of bones in his body, and he was like, I think he broke his back or something like that, as well as like a lot of other different areas of his body, and he was in a hospital for like 6 months rehabbing basically, and every single day all he could think about was like, I'm gonna get out of here, and I'm gonna resume my physical gain my physical strength, and I'm gonna go climb Mount Everest. Like that was his singular focus. So like to your point, you're saying go jump out of an airplane without a parachute, and then you can maybe go
But
climb Mount
that's the
Everest.
question I'm asking, is when people are telling you the
Like
story, right?
right.
What are you supposed to take out of it?
You're not. You're supposed to say, well, this isn't what this reflection's about anyway. So my point of why I was bringing that up in the first place is I didn't want the for me personally on this journey, I didn't want this book to only have a negative one, so I wanted to kind of put a positive spin on it as well. So
But I think
I
it's a
did.
positive. I think it's a positive, even though we're talking about something that we don't want.
Well, I know. I understand what you're saying. I'm not saying it wasn't a good lesson. I'm just saying that it was that for me, I like to keep this like as a positive forward moving thing, not just to sit from the side and critique about somebody else's art, right? Like, I mean, because that's his art, and I'm not going to tell him his art is good or bad. He did what he did. For me, it just
I
tweaked
mean,
me the wrong way.
I would, because no, I'm telling you, this is what I'm doing. Is I'm practicing what I'm preaching. If I say I don't like something, it has nothing to do with anything. It's my preference,
But I did like the book.
and that's what you do. If you're a beaver, you say, hey, I like to build dams and then go fly like majestic eagle, or to be on a pride rock like the lion. Right? The
Right.
thing is, there's nothing wrong with judging. You are going to judge anything because that's what you do. You say, well, I am a beaver. What do I like? What do I judge? I go pick up sticks, and people around me say, hey, you're a dirty rodent. You just pick up dirty sticks in your mouth and whatever. It's yucky,
Right.
right? That's what I like. I don't care. People judge me. I don't judge people. But the thing is, you gotta call spade spade. You can't say, well, it's you know, you're not being true to yourself. So judge. If you like something, right? Be true to yourself. Hey, I like that. Right? You don't like
Right.
something. Hey, I don't like that. Stay away from it. Let's say I don't wanna go jump like a rabbit, right? Then I don't. If I wanna go build dams, then I will. If you wanna be this troublemaker to be this raccoon, then be the raccoon. There's nothing wrong with that, right? And people can the other like let's say a parrot will come or a peacock will come. Hey, you're a raccoon. You're a troublemaker. No one
Be like,
wants you.
damn right.
Yeah. But the thing is, they judge you.
Right.
But the thing is, if you say, "Well, I'm a raccoon. That's what I do. It is what it is. It is who I am. I'm going to be who I am."
No, I mean,
And so
I
so
agree.
so
Yeah.
so if you are
Malcolm
trying to
Gladwell is who he
force
is.
if you're trying to force yourself to accept anyone, negative or positive, you are constraining yourself.
I agree. Malcolm Gladwell is a storyteller who doesn't have a lot of soul in the game of the stories that he tells most of the time. And this is one of those negative ramifications that can come from it, but I don't care. Like, I still really liked the book.
I mean,
Right?
I don't think it matters at all whether it's good or bad. It's just, hey, from my perspective, like I say, nothing in the universe is universal, and nothing is completely like final. Because I see a strength, you see weakness.
Mhm.
It's to me, it's based on who's looking.
Agreed. All right. Put a pin on that. We can come back to that if you want to. So, but in terms of why I wrote another one, that was why I really like Malcolm Gladwell's art, and I wanted to. I had another thought that this thing spurred in my mind. So this particular one was the reflection title was "Nothing is as simple as it ever seems," right? And that's the beauty of Malcolm Gladwell's writing, right? Like he always takes something that on its surface, like that's his thing. He takes something that everybody sees and they all see it, and then and they take it for face value of whatever it is, right? They're like, oh, I see, David and the story of David and Goliath, right? And then I'm gonna, that is what it is. The small guy won that day, one time out of 100 or whatever, and he, will ask a lot of questions and take you on this journey, like we talked about at the beginning of all this stuff, to poke a little bit deeper, to ask more of the questions, to be more curious about it, to say, okay, like I do see how this works, but like, let's dig deeper. Let's go deeper. Let's dig deeper. Let's dig deeper. Let's dig deeper. And it reminded me as I was reading this book, because I hadn't read this is the first Malcolm Gladwell book that I had read in a long time. I had up until this point in time, this is the third Malcolm Gladwell book that I had ever read, and Outliers is the first one that I read, and that was probably 10 years ago. The second one that I read was What the Dog Saw, and that was in the NICU with Amelia. So this was like, it had been like almost 3 years, 2.5 years since I had read a Malcolm Gladwell book, and and it just reminded me of why I really, really, really like this guy and his writing, because he stops and he asks the question. He sees, a dog being walked by a human being, and I'm giving you that example that you and I have talked about, and he asks the question, like, if I was an alien landing on this earth right now, and I saw this mammal with a leash holding it in a collar walking this other mammal, I'd go, what the fuck is that about? Like, I mean, I'd be like, how did this happen? Like, what led to this? We just take this as normal. Like, we just go, oh, hey, it is what it is. Dogs and humans, they go together, but like Malcolm Gladwell sees these things and he goes, I want to know more. I want to look at all the different angles of this. I want to go ask more questions, and I'm going to go be curious about life and be curious about what I see and dig deeper. Right. So this reminds me of Daniel Kahneman and what you see is all there is. And this is an infliction or an affliction that a lot of us have. We were just talking about this with Luca and the daycare thing right before we hopped on, right? Like, what you see is all there is. You send your kid to daycare, he gets sick, and we all go, well, the majority of people go, well, like, it is what it is. Builds their immunity. You got to wait a year. He'll be sick for the whole entire time. It's going to be rough, blah, 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 blah. And you and I both stop and go, no, That doesn't seem fucking right. How did we get to this point in time? Why did daycares exist? Why is our work life structured the way that it's structured? How did all these things happen? How did this ever become a thing? Is it an industrial, society thing? Are we still in an industrial society? I mean, there's a million different avenues and questions that you could, go down to look at that particular problem. And most people just say it is what it is, or what you see is all there is, right? Well, I got to go to work. I send my kid to a daycare because that's where they tell me to go, and he gets sick. Like, it is what it is. What you see is all there is. Like what more to it is there than that, And you and I both are not that anymore, right? Before this whole journey and the atomic bomb, I guess, if you will, that woke me up out of my own slumber, like that. Most of the things in my life, I kind of just took at face value. I'm like, yeah, it is what it is. Like, this is how tech companies work. This is how the corporate world works. This is how daycare works. This is how, most of the things in my life, I just said, it is what it is, and like, keep moving on. Right. Well, so here's the thing that reading a Malcolm Gladwell book, this isn't necessarily about David and Goliath, but here's the thing about reading a Malcolm Gladwell book. It just reminded me, to nothing is ever as simple as it seems. There's always other angles to take a look at a problem. There's so many different paradigms to view the world. There's so many different ways to view a situation that happened. What were all the dynamics that went into making something up, and then to try to figure it out and try to find the source code behind all that stuff to be able to then go, I don't know, do whatever you want to do with it. But it's a fun journey and it's a fun quest, right? Now the second part of all this for me is, he asked this question in the book. He said, are you desperate enough to change? That he asked in this particular thing, because it was about desirable disadvantages, right? And it was about the story of underdogs. It's about when you get pushed to that brink, and are you desperate enough? Like, does it hurt that bad that you have to act, right, before you're willing to change? And I say, like we were just talking about before, fuck that. Like, that's not how this has to work. You do not have to have an atomic bomb. You do not have to have a desirable disadvantage for you to look at life, be able to look at life and be curious and do all the great things that humans can do. I say we should flip it around and we should say, are you healthy enough to stay curious? Because that's really what it matters. And what it means is when you have a healthy brain and you have a healthy human spirit, like, you should never stop questioning, like, the world around you. You should never look at something and take it as face value. You should never just see a dog being walked by a human and go, well, that's what happens. You should never, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like you should always be willing to say and be a curious, healthy enough to ask that question, to see the different paradigms of life, to be able to go find your own quest and to find your own answers, and that's what makes life fun. That's what makes life enjoyable, and that's what makes you healthy. You do not have to go through an atomic bomb to go do that. You've changed my opinion on this, right? Because you and I've had this debate, and we can have it now if you want to again. But I think you've officially changed my opinion on this. Like, I was under the impression for the longest time on this journey, like, the pain is so severe that it's, are you desperate enough to change? Because the pain was so, I was desperate. Like, I mean, I didn't know what else to do. I had to change, right? Like, if I was gonna keep living my life without my daughter, like, in that searing pain every single day, I had to change to find a way to be a healthy human being again, right? Like, that was not an option for me. And I know what that feeling is, and I know it's still there, and I know that I feel that still every single day today. So I know how that drives me forward. But to your point, what you always constantly argue back, you don't have to do that. Like, like, you can take the lessons from other people, and they're very simple lessons of focus on your values and stay curious and ask questions and all those things, right? And you could still go get the same results that we're trying to help other people to do without having to go through all this shit. You know what I mean? So to be desperate enough to change, right? So I don't know. I'll pause there because I like that. The question that I posed, that was the question for everybody else, is, are you healthy enough to stay curious, right? Because that's the mark of a true healthy human being, is if they're willing to look at the world around them and ask fucking questions.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the questions. I mean, which is along the line of my thought and foundations of my I guess philosophy. I don't want to call it philosophy, but it's because the thing is, you think about it, if you have a choice to be the underdog or the favorites, which one would you choose?
think we all would say that we'd want to be the well. Not I probably wouldn't actually because you get to learn so much when you're the underdog.
But that is where this is exactly what you're saying is, is nothing is ever as simple as it seems, because you think that you benefit from being underdog. But let me ask you statistically, how many underdog stories got buried because they lost? If you're underdog, there's a reason why you're underdog. Statistically, you don't make it.
Are you going to pull out this the Taleb quote of what gets filtered up there is the
I mean, it's one of the famous lesson that I've learned from him is it's the survivorship bias, which is
that's a good point.
Because the thing is, and that's what I'm saying is people tend to, I guess, elevate this 1% because all the story, because it's not interesting if you say, well, 99% of the favorite always wins. The 1% that is always loses and wins one time. Then you create a story out of it because it's
Right.
new, it's unique, and we take that as at face value. And this is where the point you're making is nothing as simple as it seems, and what you see isn't all there is, because what you see is what somebody's narrative tells you. Hey, that you should be underdog. Underdog are to be to be rooted for. The point is that when you're underdog, your chances of winning are like very, very minimum. That means that 99% of the time, when let's say you go with the underdog versus the favorite, 99% of the time the favorite will beat you to the smithereens, and is the reality. You don't live in this fairy tale story of only showcase the upset. You showcase the upset, but the point is probability statistically you're not going to win. Just like buying a lottery, right? You're not going to win. You're going to probably get hit lightning like 9 times before you win the lottery. This is statistically, this is what you're saying. So as a practical, logical person, if you say, well, I have a choice of being a favorite or an underdog, right? Basically, when you're underdog, you're basically saying, what was the quote you're saying? Are you desperate enough to change? It's like you are basically pushed to a corner. You have no other choice. And if I push you to the corner, what is the chance that you're going to beat me? Not very good, because I'm going to beat you. Because how did I force you to the corner in the first place? I was dominant at whatever I do. Yeah. I was powering until I think if you think about it, 99% of the time, the guy who's pushing the corner is much stronger than you, much better, has better advantage than you. That's why he was able to push you in the corner in the first place. And your chance of survival at that point is very low. And for you maybe one time, surprise the enforcer, right? To surprise him is 1%. And so you do not want to be desperate, because just like, hey Chris, let's play a game. Let's pinch your nose. I'm just gonna suffocate you until the last minute and see if you recover. Would you want me to do that to you? Because hey, you're underdog. What give you 1% chance to live? That's what I'm saying is reality is not what you think it is.
Right.
Do not put yourself in the corner. Always have options. When you're desperate enough to change, it's like you have no other option.
Right.
When you're in the corner, you're back into like always. There's only one path forward. It's just like you are desperate. You call you basically like suicide at that point.
I'd rather be the favorite that loses. That's what I'd rather be. You know why? Because you're going to learn. You already knew that you had some serious skills, and you've already learned a lot to get to be the favorite. Like now, you get to still learn. Like I'd rather be the favorite that loses. That's what I'd rather.
I would never want to be the underdog if I had a choice. Now,
that's a good point.
I can say sometimes you don't have a choice, but if I had a choice and you give me the option, I would never choose to be an underdog. Because you only get celebrated. Let's say in 1,000 parallel universe, one of those universe that you win, the 999 to other universe, you die.
Well, you see my shirt, Purdue, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
so do you remember what happened in the NCAA tournament this year? With Fairleigh Dickinson being Purdue was the number 1 seed, and there's only been a 16 seed that has ever beaten a 1 seed ever in the history of the NCAA tournament. It happened like 5 years ago when Virginia lost to UMBC, University of Maryland, Baltimore County, or something like that. Purdue became the second. My school, my team, my alma mater became the second number 1 seed to ever lose in the first round to a number 16 seed. They were up until then. It was like they were like 155 to 1. Like the odds of literally like beating that happening were almost unreal, right?
But that's what you celebrate.
But that's what we celebrate. But like you couldn't have had a more David and Goliath situation. Literally, Fairleigh Dickinson. Or Fairleigh, I don't even know how you say it. Fairleigh Dickinson, Fairleigh, I think. They had the smallest team in college basketball, like in terms of height wise, average height across the board. Purdue has the tallest team in college basketball across the board. They had the national player of the year in Zach Edey, who literally was the national player of the year. They were a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament that, like literally you couldn't get more David and Goliath in this whole entire thing. And to your point, like, do I think that Purdue is going to, go on to have more success than Fairleigh Dickinson as a in the long term? Oh, of course,
99% of the time, yes. I mean, you think about it. Let's do a rematch.
Right. 99 times out of 100, they'll win. I mean,
do you think that Purdue is going to lose again?
No. No way in hell.
I mean, it's like one fluke. How many times have this happened over the past?
Once.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. I mean,
that's my point. Is that we are taught to celebrate this underdog story, and like I said, you don't live in the world of possibility. Like it's possible for me to be a lottery winner. Live in the world of probable. What's the probability for me to live until tomorrow?
Well, I'm totally with you, but I actually think there's a secondary conversation. Like, I don't want to always win though, too. So I'd rather be the favorite.
No, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have nothing to do with winning or losing.
I guarantee you. But hang on, I guarantee you that Matt Painter, the coach of Purdue, is going to look at everything that just happened, how he constructed the team, I guarantee you the fuck did that happen?
I can guarantee you, if you take that David team and repeat it next year, I will bet you. I would bet whatever money you want to bet. I would bet you that team won't do it again.
Oh no, I agree. I mean, they've already completely. They've already broken up. Their coach took another job, because obviously he was the big story of the tournament, and the coach took a better job. The team, the team transferred out because the coach left. Like, I mean, it's an impossibility. That'll never ever that team will never be heard of again.
Even if you have the team intact, I guarantee you will not win again. Right? It's 99%. I'm not saying never.
But my point
I'm saying is they cannot do it again, because that's what I'm saying is you only celebrate the things that it's a fluke in once in a lifetime kind of a event, a turn of events that upset something. But that's the point.
You're missing my point of what I was trying to get at is Purdue may go on and win a national title next year because of this situation. Because the coach will go, I learned so much from what they did to expose, even though that one chance out of 100 happened, but that was because there was flaws. Like they do not handle the press well. Like for whatever reason, they cracked under pressure when they were a pretty good shooting team and they just totally couldn't hit a shot. Like, they had no contingency plans. They had no backups. They had no plan A, plan B, whatever.
Purdue can recover. Yeah. The other team cannot.
Exactly.
Because Purdue is like, okay, I got this thing 99% covered. There's one little hole that I forgot to protect. Yeah. And it happens to shoot the arrow through that hole, like the Achilles heel, right? If I know Achilles, I'm just gonna protect my heel with some kind of a protective boots or whatever. Then I'm completely covered. So Purdue has the ability to say, well, I can take this and I can become a more well-rounded champion. Exactly. The other guys say, well, this is one chance. It's like once and done, right?
Yeah, right.
It's like, okay, can I shoot again? I probably not. Can you hit the Achilles heel again? Probably not. Not
Right.
very likely. That's my
Right.
point is the reality. That's the reality we're telling you versus what people are praising in books and in movies. The thing is, to me, more and more movies today are making kids delusional. I'm saying is, hey, everybody
But
gotta
the
be.
underdog story is really inspirational, though. I mean, like I got to give it credit. Like, I mean, it's like
It's
Mighty Ducks.
delusional.
You know, I love the Mighty
It's
Ducks. You know, I love the. You
delusional.
know,
And the thing is,
I love Rudy. I love Hoosiers. I love.
and we
I
talked about Rudy before. I say, hey, what's the point? I mean, you didn't even to play all the hard work. You get to play one TD play. It's like, okay, we won. It's last.
It was for the love of the game, man. It was for the love of the game. He played the right way.
I love the game. I watch it. Right.
Right.
I mean, that's my point. Is like, everybody's trying to be this hero or whatever. It's like, what is your probability of being this person? And like I say, one of the most important lessons that I've learned that I did not um, discover until later is don't try for those impossible dreams, because chances are you. I mean, it's like, hey, I dream of becoming a lottery winner. What is the chance of me becoming a lottery winner?
You can't control that. I mean, that's the.
You can't. So the dream's the same thing. Is do you have the capacity? Is there a chance for you to become this basketball? Let's say for me, I
No,
want to
but
be. I want to be like Michael Jordan. And you look at me, tell me the truth. Hey, true, you're short. No way.
Well, true. Like,
Impossible.
all you got to do is drink Gatorade and buy some Air Jordans. Like, I mean, that's what literally the commercial was. I want to be like Mike. Like, I mean, what do you mean? Like, it's they told you the blueprint in the commercial. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
be like
that's
Mike.
the key. That's the key. Yeah, that's why they even have the fucking pumps. Like, it gives you air. Air Jordan. It's like, that's what I'm saying is kids become delusional and they become entitled to certain things, and it becomes a whole big mess. And then the thing is, then they become into this. They get thrown into this world, right? Reality hits them like a ton of bricks. It's like, fuck, I have to work, and I can't. I mean, and then you go and you ask, why don't people just not work? Well, you you have no life skill.
Right,
You expected so much, and now pow. It's like you go to work and you hate your job, and you still have to follow the rules, and they tell you to do this, you have to do that. If not, you
haven't learned to be curious, and you haven't learned to go find your own, solve your own problems. You haven't learned to look at the world differently, to go say, oh, this is my beautiful question. This is how I want to live my life.
They stuck you in the mud, right? And so you can't even get out of it. And that's the reason why nobody is asking the question is this normal? Am I supposed to be this toxic at work? Is this supposed to be the life? And people say, okay, this is everybody does. So it gotta be, that's how managers and how people treat you. They treat you badly. They treat
you like a number. I mean, like it's beyond funny. Like, I look at my own company right now, and whenever we have our senior leadership meetings and stuff like that, all we do is look at a spreadsheet and go through numbers. And it's like if I just, like, this is a company of human beings, right? Like, this isn't a company of numbers. I mean, like, anybody can, manage a number. Like, I mean, in all seriousness, like, anybody can manage a number. Like, managing a human being is totally different, right? Like, I mean, but we get so bogged down in
because life is more than just numbers,
because we think we can control it. Like, we think, well, if you just hit this number, everything will be fine. Well, how do you hit that fucking number? You have to lead people, and you have to get them to, you have to understand what they are, who they are, and what they want to be, and how they get that out of them, and make sure that they're able to find their beautiful question, and help them to keep exploring. Like, you can't just go, well, hit the number. It's like screaming at somebody on the sidelines of a basketball game, like, shoot better, and you're like, all you got to do is hit 37% of your free throw or your 3-pointers, and we'll win the game. And you're like, what the fuck do you mean? Of course everybody fucking knows that, like, but like, how do I do that, you asshole? Like, and you can't just yell at me, like, shoot better, like, and that's what we do. We just yell, sell more,
that's what we call coaching.
Right,
that's what we call managing. Sell more, close the sale,
go faster, do more, like, like, make the
numbers
faster.
Game, if you only close like 10, right? Well, how many do you prospect? 100. Well, do 1,000.
Do more, yeah. Do more. And you're like, Okay, sure, like, and then that, I mean, that, but I guess, the point that I was trying to get at with this whole entire reflection, at the end of the day, is it doesn't need to be, are you desperate enough to change? Like, you can live a very happy life, you know, just focusing on your values every single day and the compound effect that comes from that. And all you got to do that is understand what you like and what you don't like, and then try to do that each day. And you don't need to go through the journey that I've been through to go do that. Like, you don't need any of that. Like, you just need to know what do you like to do, which we all know. Like, we just maybe need to spend some time and figure it out, and then go do that. Like, I mean, like, it's really
Yeah,
not that
because
hard.
I think growing up, we're being trained and conditioned to think in this fashion. It's because, like, say, are you desperate to change? We always think negatively. Hey, put me in the corner so I can have some pressure to fight.
Right.
The thing is, in reality, you want to have options. That's why I really like your question: is are you healthy enough to stay curious? That gives you the option. You have the ability to say, well, I'm healthy enough. I have multiple options at
Right.
my disposal. If there are something that in my arsenal, 99% of it that I'm covered, that's 1% that I need to learn. Well, I can actually learn and cover that 1%. But if
Right.
I only have 1% of winning and 99%, where do I cover?
You've said this now multiple times, and it just kind of popped in my head. And I think I mean, I totally understand what you were saying before, but like, this is even this is a good illustration of where my brain was going. Of, like, if Apple doesn't stay healthy enough to be curious, Apple will die eventually, right? If Purdue doesn't stay healthy enough to stay curious as a team, Purdue will, they're on an upward trajectory, an upward spiral right now. If you stay curious, you're on an upward spiral. Apple is on an upward spiral if it stays curious. Google, like, they make Google X. We read this in that book, Loon Shots, right? Like, you need a franchise, and then you need the ideation engine, right? You have to stay curious always. Otherwise, if you're not doing that, you're not going forward in life, and you're not learning, and you're not exploring, you're not becoming better at whatever you're trying to do, like, whatever better means. And like, I don't know that's this isn't outcome driven, but it's just a natural byproduct of, the more curious you are, the more questions you ask, the more better you get. Now, you said the question before of, like, would I rather be the favorite or the underdog? Well, let's look at it this way: how many businesses fail? Like, how many tech startups fail? It's probably, what, 95%? I don't know, 90. I mean, I
99%.
don't even know. Like,
It's ninety nine
what is it?
percent. 99%.
99%. 99% of them fail, right? And like Google and Apple, like, all they have to do is just stay curious, right? Like, that's it. Like, they just have to stay
They
healthy and stay
already
curious.
they
Like,
already are the favorite, the favorites, right? They will not
right,
fail unless they basically stumble onto that 1% of Ecclesio, right? And so as
right,
long as they
right,
have the money, right? They have the manpower, they have all the facility, they have all the healthy, like, faculties that they can explore and build new things or whatever. As long as they continue to do that, the chance of them to continue their legacy, it is very likely. It is
right.
only when somebody 1% of them allows some kind of a poisonous thing to
They
spread and
start
say,
to
well,
protect what they have, and they
this
stop
guy
asking
is this
questions.
or whatever, and,
Yeah,
and if you follow this guy blindly, and it goes down. But the thing is,
right.
if a guy start out, right, uh, do a startup and has only one chance of winning,
I don't want that. I don't
that's
want
why
that
he
fucking
failed
guy.
99% of the time,
Right,
because there's only
exactly.
one thing I can do, right? Because I have no money, I got no connections, I got nothing except maybe I'll be able to program. Maybe that's 1%, right? And that's my only path to success. That's why I'm not. You cannot
Right.
be successful because they're only path. But you look at it like Facebook, Google, Tesla, Apple, whatever. They have all of the other advantages: money, people, reputations, consumer respect and awareness and all this stuff. So even if they lack something, they say, "Oh, I don't have a programmer. Let's go hire a fucking programmer from Google."
Right. Right.
Right?
I mean,
And that's
they
what they
should
do. It's like
they should be
you
excited for a competitor to pop up, because then they're like, oh, like, we get a chance to plug some holes, and keep going forward, like, I mean, like,
I mean, if you have like one hole, right, it is easy for you to plug. If you have like 99 holes out of one, hey, you get one thing and 99% is exposed to this negativity, right? Which hole do you cover?
right.
I mean, it's desperate.
You
You
don't.
do not want to be desperate. That's what I'm saying. Is I'm very adamant about being desperate and being like in pain. I mean, I don't know why people keep, you know, encouraging to seek this thing, but I'm saying, hey, stay away
Because
from it.
it forces paradigms to change. It forces you to be curious. Like that's the whole point. Is like, but
But the
if you just
point is
stay
that
healthy and stay curious,
when you
then it'll
read
be
a
okay.
book, right? That's what I'm asking you is, what do you take out of it? Hey, watch a Rudy story. What do you take out of it?
What did I take out of Rudy? That's a good question. What do I take out of Rudy? What I, well, you know, this is the truth, and it's probably a bad take. Is, you know, never quit. And you're gonna say,
Is it
well,
worth
why
it?
would you? What did he get out of this? Like, you know, like why did he do that? You know how dumb that would be to, like, you know, to continue to ram your head against the wall when you're not able to actually play the game at a high level. It just sounds stupid. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're like, what, he should have quit a long time ago, and he should have been
Right.
applying
May,
that
may I ask
same,
you, may
like,
I ask you
the
the
same,
questions?
you know.
Like, again, it's like, if I give you $1 million today, but tomorrow you're gonna be sick for the rest of your life, would you take the money?
No.
That's the question. I mean, a very simple question. How much money is your life worth? Are you wasting it?
I mean,
You banging your head. It's like, let's say,
there's
oh,
a price.
I got some book deal out of it. I want an inspiration of that. Well, is it worth it? Are you living the life you want? Because like, when you go practice, right? You're not. I mean, it's not paying free. It's not like it's a free ride, anything. Well, you have to work hard. People are gonna, even in practice, people are gonna hit you, right? Your bones gonna get
What?
damaged. Your brain's gonna get damaged, right?
Why? But why are we so drawn to people's art that comes from pain? Like Kurt
it's
Cobain or Van
it's
Gogh
you
or
we have this, but it's this double-edged sword, because we have this evolutionary gene that wants to attract, to kind of focus our attention on things that is negative, because it might affect us in our vitality, right? So we
yeah,
say,
but
well,
what? How do we
there's
see
a
beauty in it
rustling,
though?
it's a rustling in the bush, right? We basically say, well, I gotta pay attention. So we basically use that uh, as a leverage, right? We what do we call, like, I forgot the word with but essentially we exploit we exploit that weakness to get people to buy our books, to get people to buy Air Jordan, to get people to buy T-shirts, to get people to buy to listen to the Rudy story.
Right.
But my question is,
Mhm.
my question to the audience and to you is, what do you supposed to get out of these inspirational stories?
I don't know.
You
Cry a
all
little
go out
bit,
there
get
and
some
become
emotion.
Rudy, right? You go out there, buy some shoes, right? Oh, I want to go out there and be
So
a
you're supposed to get
princess.
emotion. You're supposed to get emotions. Is what you're supposed to get.
But what's the point?
I don't know. We like
What
emotions.
does it give you?
Emotions.
What is what are you supposed to take out of it? Yeah, I feel inspirational. I feel that guy. It moves me because I feel
Love
something.
for humanity. Love for, you know, your fellow, you know, humans' dreams. I don't know.
No,
I
you
mean,
don't. You don't. Inspiration. I mean, thing is, I don't know about you,
you
but
feel
when you
something.
talk about inspiration, is you feel a feeling inside you, and you say, "Hey, I want to do that." But that's what you do. It's not. You
I
don't care
mean,
about.
there
Look,
was somebody that watched that movie and were like,
you
I'm
don't
going to
care.
fucking Notre
I
Dame.
guarantee you, you don't fucking care about Rudy when you watch a Rudy. You say, "Well, maybe I feel like I want to be." It's all about you. It's the self-esteem. It's all about you. Hey,
Right.
Rudy did that. I want to be like him, right? That's what you're thinking. You don't give a shit about Rudy. Okay. I don't
Yeah.
know about you, but that's how I feel. Maybe
No, I
I'm
mean,
I'm
I
this
don't
this
care. No,
crazy
I don't
guy,
care.
but
I don't care
but
about
as a selfish
Rudy.
gene, mostly we only care about us, and we will reflect ourselves in that guy and say, well, because of all this emotion that stirred up, right? It is something we cannot control. This is human nature that we have been evolved for many generations, like thousands of generations or whatever. I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying it's for so long that I can't even. I don't know. I don't count. But the point is, these movies, these books, these stories, these ads, right, exploiting that weakness to get us to feel something, to get us to buy something we don't need, right? My question is, in reality, can you become Rudy? can you become
Do you want to be Rudy? Why would you want to be Rudy? He doesn't
or
even play. Like
or
I
Elon
don't want
or
to do
Elon
something.
Musk or Steve Jobs, right?
I
The
definitely don't
thing
want
is,
to be
may
that.
I ask you, like, do you want to be? Would you want to be Steve Jobs, knowing that he died of pancreatic cancer?
Well, no, but I mean, we're all gonna die. But I wouldn't want to be Steve Jobs for other reasons. I wouldn't want to be Steve Jobs because he was a dick. I wouldn't want to be
Exactly.
Steve
I mean,
Jobs.
the thing is,
I
there's
wouldn't
a
want to be
lot of
Steve Jobs
reason, but
because
I'm
he were
saying
the
it's
demands of
very
his
simple
time.
reason, right? Yeah, and of course, there's a lot of reason, and you make a good point. There's many reasons why you don't want to be Steve Jobs. So
Right.
that even further proves my point. Is it worth it for you to
No.
be something that, hey, I deserve this, right? The point is, let's say you have I will give you $1 trillion, but you won't wake up tomorrow. Would you take it?
No. I mean, what, like
Exactly. So you
these
saying
aren't even
your life is worth more than $1 trillion?
it. Yes, I mean, like
What
without
what
a
what if
doubt, like
what if I give you $1 trillion? You won't die, but you be sick for the rest of your life. You have pancreatic cancer, but you won't die, right? You're just in pain.
just
Would you take it?
chronically in pain. No, not no.
My
No,
point
I
is,
wouldn't. Yeah.
so you telling me is, first of all, you're telling me your life is worth a lot more than $1 trillion, and second, you're telling me your health is worth more than $1 trillion. I'm saying $1 trillion. I mean, no one is even a trillionaire. Okay, on
Right.
Earth, no one's even a trillionaire, and even if I give you $1 trillion, and you still won't take it. And that's my point:
Just a piece of
is
paper.
what you do, what you are giving up, what are you suffering through the pain for? Question at the end of the day: is it worth the trade?
I agree. I mean, I told you, you've convinced me. Because like, I mean, we've like I said, we've had this debate, many times over the course of this journey. Um, I could see no other way to push somebody so hard in a different direction to force the change than through pain. Like, but I'm not saying it's easy to do it the other way around. I'm saying that people have to be healthy enough to be curious. And I have a problem
So
with
to me, I want to clarify what I mean by that. Is like there are certain things that we can control, and I can understand that. Yeah, you're in pain because you didn't choose it. But the point I'm saying is, don't go looking for pain
right.
when you have a perfectly good life to
You can go
live.
looking for happiness,
I mean,
like
you have a happy family. Don't go to the jungle and try to jump out an airplane without a parachute. That's what I'm saying. Is
right.
you are being stupid.
Yeah. Or don't go try to
So,
climb Mount Everest just because, because you want to, because
but
you think you're going to discover
so
yourself or something up there.
the caution I'm saying is a lot of these books and movies and all this is obviously it is telling you that's a story. That's that is what you should take away from this plot or whatever. That's what I see. I don't know
Yeah.
about you, but a lot of these say, hey, be adventurous, be an underdog. It's better than be the hated champions or whatever. It's like everybody hates champions. I want to be an
Right.
underdog. Hey, so what you are rooting for the underdog, right?
Yeah.
Because why are you rooting for the underdog?
It's a fun story.
No, it's not. You're rooting the underdog because you are more like the underdog than the champion.
Yeah.
You rooted for people that similar to you.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you rooted for the underdog, that means you are more like the underdog than the champion. So your thinking isn't going to help you. It's actually spiral you downward.
That's why I root for Loki and not Thor, because he's a raccoon.
But don't
I'm
go
serious.
don't go searching for trouble.
Don't go chasing waterfalls.
Yes.
Stick to the
Because
rivers and the
what
lakes.
happens to the waterfall?
Well, you know what that song is, right?
What's up?
Are you kidding me? You don't know the "Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls" song?
No,
Oh my
no,
God, true. What world have you been living in? TLC. Do you know who TLC is?
no.
Oh God. Uh, I won't go. All right. Shit. All
Curiosity, stability.
right. So, I'm not gonna play the video, but TLC. This was a from their album in 1994. It's called Crazy Sexy Cool. This huge #1 album in the world, like #1 song in the world, like on everything. Don't go chasing waterfalls. It's a song. It's called
Well,
Waterfalls.
I think I can relate to that. Like
Right.
sticks to the rivers and lakes that you used to.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's that's to me, it's something you should be taken away from this. Hey,
Right.
don't be chasing waterfall, and it's thrilling, but I mean, the chances for you to end well is not very likely.
Exactly. No, that's funny because I can't believe you've never heard that song before. You should listen to it after this is over. All right, so we'll put a pin on it on that one officially. And we'll wrap for the night. So the question we can leave with everybody, are you healthy enough to stay curious? So don't ever stop asking questions, and stop exploring different
Don't put
paradigms.
yourself in a corner.
Yeah.
If you have a choice, don't ever put yourself in a corner on purpose.
Agreed. You don't need to. Like if you don't need to, don't do
Good
it.
not.
Yeah.
Because I will raise my eyebrow and say, "No, you on something?"
Exactly. I agree. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for joining, everyone, and we will see you tomorrow night.
Right. Good night.